Akash from our Pakistan team. He's our video production manager there. Would you mind giving us a prayer, Akash? If you're available.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Dear loving Heavenly Father, we are very grateful for that, for your blessings which you've given us, and for this network and this technology. We are very grateful for our Prophet who give us guidance and give help so that we can do better things in our life. And please, God, help us and give us more knowledge so that we can do work better with the better way, and give us blessings so that we can do better work for you and for your, and save your other peoples and save our families. I see all these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. Let me share my screen. And I understand Michiru watched this movie, but many of us haven't, looks like, so let's check it out. 2 minutes. All right, so a lot of handheld all over here and there. Well, maybe not there. Well, this can be still handheld. And especially when it comes to running, all handheld. And because they're trying to make a kind of a movie basically, so it's very squeezed. I mean, the ratio is, I don't know, what is this ratio called? Is it like a 19 by... It's not 16 by 9. It's something, it's like, yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it's that like the movie screen size, a general screen. And many times you can just chop it up, top and bottom, put a, what they call the letterhead on it. But also this specific one, I think they used a lens called anamorphic lens. And so typical anamorphic flare is this streak light you see a lot. I'm not sure I like this specific look, but that's my preference. Like here, it looks a little bit too, what do you call, fake, not fake, but not it's not fake, but I don't know. And you can see that it's a wide lens, so you can see that it's probably at least 17 mil or 16 millimeter lens that you can see that the cross is a little bit bending, but nobody cares about that. Anyway, but the idea is really cool, and yeah, a lot of wide lens and handheld, and then using the light, and that's really cool. But I think for us, what we can learn is just more of some compositions, obviously storytelling first, and yeah, and so on. Back to our call. I guess a spiritual message we all appreciate it. I feel like as I'm getting a little bit older and older, I really think a lot more about, I don't know, it's just, I think we talked about, oh yeah, we had our world conference here, and one of the stake presidency, he's also our vet for our the pet animals. He's the vet. But the first stake presidency counselor was conducting and teaching the priesthood quorum there, and he asked about, like what keeps you at night, and people talk about jobs and worries about the future and all that. And I think what I shared is, as I'm getting a little bit older and older, and of course there are like so many old people in my ward that they all laugh. Like my youngest son is older than you, brotherly. Anyway, but either way, I was sharing that, back then I was just fine. Like all these nice messages and resurrection, they're all cool, but I was like, yeah, if it happens, awesome. If it doesn't happen, I'm cool. Either way, this is kind of I like this church and I love being here, and I believe with all my heart. It's all good. But, as I'm getting older and older, I feel like I have to really all in a way. Otherwise, I don't consider myself necessarily lukewarm, but who knows? I'm thinking with myself. I have to be completely invested in this beliefs that that will be resurrected and so on. And it's not anymore just, it's a nice thing to have, but it's actually really matter. And either by investing myself fully in that, is either two things I can think of, is either you get the most benefit out of this gospel, or otherwise you feel somewhat more conflicted in a way, that if you don't, and then maybe that goes along with when President Nelson said that you cannot survive spiritually without the firm foundation and stuff. So anyway, but anything else you want to say or share about either the technical side of this Easter video, what you liked about it, or your general thoughts on Easter or general conference or whatever? Let me open up for a few minutes if you have any comments. Go ahead, anybody. And if you don't worry about it. I'll just have a moment of silence, unless you guys have some thoughts. Okay, if not, let's move on to the next subject. So I am sharing I see that, let me share my screen again. I see that our Michiru, our Japan team video production manager, has published or shared a video with us as to how she uses the ERA5. Let me ask this: who here haven't? I know Brother Drew uses, what do you call? I forgot, what is it called? The one suddenly I forgot, the one we use on the Mac. Brother Drew, the video software you use a lot. on your Mac?
Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, exactly. Final Cut Pro, and from what I understand on the Mac, it's probably even better than Premiere Pro. So brother Drew here is the probably most experienced in Final Cut Pro. I have dabbed into it before, but I've never really got it. But it's basically similar to Adobe Premiere Pro. But other than brother Drew, all of you are using Premiere Pro. So who has here haven't installed the ERA 5 that I shared with you, possibly? Well, let me ask you this way. Who have tried? I know Michiru have tried. Could anybody to raise their hand or just let me know who have installed the ERA 5 plugin that I shared? When was it? About 2 months ago. So Akash have installed it, and looks like nobody else have tried it yet. So it's a really easy audio plugin, and I think it's better to Michiru, since you made this video for us, let me share this really quick where you can find it. So one thing I want to ask all of you is that whenever you are working during your work hour, I assume you get some notification here. I do want you to check this notification, okay? The fact that, anyway, and then go through some of this. So the latest one after the last video call are these 3 posts. So Isabella from our French team posted about her idea. And Mac just talked about the video here we watched. And Lucas hasn't joined today. I think he forgot, but that's totally cool. That's why we're recording it. Talked about color grading a little bit, how he achieved this look. And Michiru here talked about her experience with the ERA 6. And then she also just created this video how she is, let's see.
まず最初の
Okay, so here's an example. All right, so Michiru, do you mind just sharing your screen and then how you use ERA to edit some just videos? We'd love to see that. And for those of you who don't know still what ERA is or forgot, it's in your email. Let me see if I can find it. It's been a while. I don't know what title I was, but I sent it to you guys. So I think I need to just find that email again. Oh yeah, a quick way to fix your audio was the title. It was sent on March 7th. And all you need to do is just, for Mac users, go here, download. Windows, go here and download and install. And then there are some tips installing. And then there's how to use the video, how to use it here. But you don't really need to know how to use it because it's really intuitive. So Michiru, do you think you can give us a shot?
I guess.
Yes.
You want me to just show you all how to edit?
No, I guess if possible, just the Instagram video you shared with us right now, if you can just use it, this is simply just all I did. We don't need to go through all the plugins, obviously, because that's their job to watch the video and then learn from it. But yeah, we'd like to just see how you used it. That'll be great.
I'm not really prepared for like showing all of you how I do edit with ERA 6. But let me.
Yeah, again, we're not looking for like
seconds.
It's all good. We're not looking for necessarily like full editing and stuff, so we're good.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while Michiru is getting prepared, Akash, so you raise your hand that you have installed it. Have you tried to use it yet? If you did, like, what are some benefits of it so far?
Yeah, it's very easy. I was used when I was talked with Farouk that in this new video I see the audio problem. So he told me that use new plugins. Then I used that, but it did help, but not too much because I think that was my audio problem. That's why.
All right, sounds good. And Michiru, you just tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead. Your voice is a little tiny, so you might just speak up a little louder or your mic. But go ahead. Would love to Have you? You might have a trouble sharing your screen in case.
Okay, I speak loud. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Sure, let's do that.
Yep. And let me share my screen.
Great, we can see it just fine.
Can you see my screen
Yep.
now? It's Adobe Audition. So this is the audio file from Premiere Pro. And then this is the one I recorded for the next video. And as you can see, the volume is really low right now because I have shared my experience on the Google Space already. I set my camera volume as low as I can right now because of my microphone problem, I guess, because I got much background noise when I record it. So, the mic and I use Rode Wireless Go 2 right now. Yeah, but anyway, so the first thing I do is I just turn up the volume up to like -6. Hopefully you can all.
No, this. Yeah, we can hear, understand fine, and see okay too. Don't worry on that.
And I just go quickly because I don't want to take much time here. So and then I just go to effect here. Sorry, it's in Japanese, and I choose hard limiter, and then this is -6. You see, and I just do it, and then it's ready. So I first use. Okay, I have to show you this one too. Here's the plugins that the video who was shared with us, like Mike Russell's video, how to sound better, masterclass with Mike Sanas. He introduced these plugins, but I don't use all of them because I tried all of them, but some of them didn't really work for my audio. So I think just you can try and fix it again and again. Maybe I'm recording mostly of my videos in my house. So right now, and these are the plugins works on my recording file. I mean my videos right now. But when I maybe record the video outside, it might be different. Maybe I should use the clipper.
True.
I don't know. I have to try it. So I'm going to use these 5 of them. So, here.
Is that called the extension and the very top? What is the menu in Japanese in English? The very top menu of that.
Here?
Yeah. What?
This is effect.
Effects? Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, effect. And once you install ERA6, you can see it's here. Yeah, Howard showed us already how to install and use it. So BST and go here, and then you can see all of the plugins here. So I have to first use noise remover, and I have to play it. And you can click inside of this circle and then go down and up, and it goes like this. So you can decide what percentage you want to go. So it doesn't have much noise, but I'm just gonna do it. Now maybe you can see the background noise a little bit, white noise. Yeah, I think I went up to 40% this time. I hope you all can hear it.
Well, at the moment
It's
we can't from your computer, but that's okay.
Okay.
We get the idea though. This is great.
Oh yeah, And then once you're done with the noise remover, next one is EQ plugin. Go into effect and the USD, and you can find it here. Where? Here, yeah. Voice out EQ. This one is equalizer.
Yeah.
What's EQ for? Yeah. And it. Once I think you should play it first. No. Learn. You have to click learn first, and then the ERA will listen to the audio and then analyze it automatically. Sorry. And it automatically analyzes the audio and then suggests me the best setting for me, I think. This is learning right now, and then it's completed. And this one, it was in the very center at first, but it goes a little bit to the left side. I think this is the best.
Great. I think that's about good timing that we move on from there. And I personally haven't used this with the Adobe Audition, so thank you so much for sharing your experience and tips with us.
Okay.
All right.
So is it enough?
Yeah, that's enough, really. Okay. Thank you. So appreciate it, Michiru. So and really quick, let me show you how I do it on Premiere Pro directly. So I yesterday, maybe some of you saw my the Facebook group. I was just like finishing up work, and then I saw in the window that my neighbor or my ward member, he and I serve in the same Sunday school, and then he Collins, and he was just playing some baseball with his little kids. So basically what I did was, grab a, oops, sorry if it's too loud. I basically did was grab a camera and just went there and then trying to find some good compositions here and there just for fun. And I think like some of the shots that obviously what I did was I normally do something like this is, so this is the, for example, I shot flat and I just grab an adjustment layer, and then instead of editing directly from there, because there are so many different clips, but they're all shot in the same environment, so they are similar in exposure and stuff. So then I convert them first from basic. So this is how just the the log file works. Canon M50 does have some sort of a log file called Cine style, but we're not really using that because they're not that great. But eventually, when we get you guys some sort of a different camera, maybe next year, and if we decide to use log files, and some of you do use log files, then you can just start from here. But most of you, when you film, you will have something like this already from the baked in your file. So in that case, what you do is just add one more LUT file on top of everything, and then once you adjust, because it's difficult for it to adjust all overall exposure. This is where you can adjust all the, so right now the scope, it says it's pretty dark, a little bit dark, so I'll just increase the white. And I know this was kind of in the late afternoon, so if I want to make it feel like in the day of the time, yes, I can increase the white. If I need more, then I'll play with the exposure a tiny bit, but that's too bright. So then I will bring down the blacks, bring down the shadow a little bit to make it pop, and then highlights a little bit. And depending on the color you want, I can bring down the saturation a little bit, or even pop it, and so on. But that's basically what it is, right? But in here, let's just say,
right, Tommy, rotate.
Well, if we're filming outside, we really don't have a problem with the noise much, except the wind noise, or maybe some reverb, because all the hard floor here, so it's reverbing a little bit. But because they're outside, I want to be reverb. But how I would use it is, Now I will just go to effects. Maybe it's better to do it here to look better. So once I install it, ERA6. So generally what I do nowadays, I just lazy. So I think this is one of the questions from our French team VPM that, hey, I like using some of this individual, like Michiru says, I like certain plugins. Yeah, like I can do that. Or like ERA6 is just really when I don't have time. Like this one, I wanted to do it in literally like 15 minutes or 30 minutes tops because I have other things to do. So, all right, I'm just gonna drop it here, auto clean assistance. And what I do is I just click edit and I can kind of start with, let's just say, well, we are outside. So what are some good one outside? Is there anything says outside? I think there is outdoors recording. So I'll just do this and
Right, Tommy. Rotate.
And depending on your computer spec, if you're using a Mac, you should be fine. But I mean, high level Windows, you should be great. But in case you have a kind of a slow computer, then the sound here might be kind of a cryptic and weird. But when you export it, then it'll sound fine. I'm just saying because it's processing at the same time. So while I'm listening, spacebar, I can kind of
Get out of here.
I can kind of check here and there. So what I'll do is plosive remover is like right, but I don't think I want that. So what I just do is I just delete it. Noise remover, I do want some noise a little bit, so I'll just adjust it. Voice deepener, I don't think I need it. So pretty much like because I'm not filming somebody that close, so I'm just. And voice leveler is something I always use because it just levels for me. I don't have to, it puts everything, the gain to the 0 for me. So I don't have to do anything. I don't have to increase in something. So I just let that handle.
No, it's my turn. You left.
And this really depends on if you do it too hard, if you increase this too hard, what do you call, then it'll sound like weird. So, but if you do too low, then voice level increase more noise. Some noises are okay, in my opinion. And then I can just add stuff like, what do I want to add here? Like this one, I really don't need to add anything. So maybe I just call it good. But sometimes I use a lot of it. So let's get one more example. So I think that sounds clearer because I can hear the voice a little bit better. And so that's one thing I did. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Let's see. Okay, so currently I'm just editing some audio. I really should use sorry, excuse me. Adobe Audition, more professional or better focus editing like Michiru does. But right now I have been a little lazy, so I need to get back to that. But still using Premiere Pro for now. I recorded this last Friday for one of our Ad Faith app, and then
There are big life questions that people have asked over the centuries that really only faith can satisfactorily answer.
I don't know if you can hear it, but there are some noise going on. The white noise, if you can hear it. Maybe you can. That's okay. So I put this, obviously I put the kind of a shotgun mic as close as to him. Not too close, but 45 degrees close to him. I'll show you a little bit picture later. And then I used one of those the shotgun mic, condenser mic, and edited it. So there's some noise going on. But I made sure when I was listening that the decibel, the loudness of sound coming in, the electronic signal, whatever you call it, it was between -12 and -6. Because this was more controlled environment because he was sitting in a quiet room and we're just recording it. And I understand that one of the Michiru's problems she had with, hey, when I try to increase my gain on the wireless Go, because many of you guys using wireless Go, I have a problem with the noise. So that's an issue with, I think, actually with the preamp of Canon M50, which we'll talk about that later soon, hopefully. But when I have a noise, this is where, again, yeah, I can simply just put noise remover one by one. But one reason I do is just this. So I drop this first. And let's just say I have the same video, same environment audio, but this is a audio 4, sorry. So what I do here is I first edit everything here. So right now I'm just gonna do, let's just say I want to sound like a podcast ready because it's more of or maybe clear. I don't know. Like, it doesn't really matter. I'll just choose one, and he doesn't have a clicker problem. He doesn't have that kind of problem, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. We didn't really have a reverb problem in this room because it was quite a lot of blankets around it, but maybe I'll keep it. And de-esser, yes, he has some no, he didn't have a de-esser problem, so I know he has a pop problem, P sound problem, so I'm just gonna add this here. The order doesn't really matter. It does matter actually to top professional, but again, am I top professional? No. So I'm just gonna add some EQ here, or a voice deepener maybe, and it wants to listen, so I'm just gonna, okay, sorry.
Letting you know that,
Wait, was it here? Yeah.
we all go through trials that are no one's fault, yet they still shake us. But
All
they
right,
can
it's done. So this is where I would adjust a little bit. So let me hear this again.
actually make us stronger, wiser.
I still hear some noise, and that's probably my leveler is too strong. Voice leveler keeps the voice leveled, which is awesome because it's just so easy that then the voice is generally easy. But because you know, every voice is up and down, but you're trying to level it, then the noise along with it on different sound or different level of sound will be also raised up. So in that case, I just bring it down. I don't touch this because I do want it to around the zero gain, or 0 dB. So I kind of put it down because it's okay level. So if I do that,
and better. We learn.
I don't hear as much noise as I used to be. And then I also don't think 50 is too much. I really don't think I need this, so I'm just going to adjust it here because I remember where I recorded. And same thing, if you happen to just if you didn't record the audio, you have no idea how this audio was filmed. I mean, you can kind of get an idea. If it's too reverby, then this must be audio, recording it somewhere crappy. But you can ask your film person, like, hey, where did you film it? I mean, some people will know, some people don't know, but that's fine. But some information can be helpful. So I'm just gonna increase a little bit here. So keep listening.
Life's most important.
And the voice EQ, auto EQ is computer, right? They never can get it right. So if you do it too much, if you let the computer just do it by yourself, many times they just mess it up. Sometimes they do it really well. So what I normally do is I just lower it, or at least lower it first.
Lessons when we're going through.
And obviously, if you make it more air, if your audio was muffled, so for example, maybe you're trying to put a lav mic, but you somehow put it a little bit too under the thick close, and then the voice sound not kind of clear enough, then this is where you can add a little bit more air. If you add more body, then it'll sound a little bit more, I don't know how to call it, more how do I say it? If your sound is too airy, let's try here this one.
Times. It's important to note that God,
yeah, it sounds good, but it's a little bit too airy. So if you put it extreme to the body, then that kind of airiness goes away.
Is not a helicopter parent who fixes,
but then it's a little bit muffly, and if extreme clarity, again, this is if the audio was really bad.
Every problem we encounter.
But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, like start with the auto analysis like Michiru suggested.
Or prevent.
And just play around. Just play.
All of our pain. A child just learning to.
And usually it's best if you're wearing some sort of a earbud or a headset. So that's what I do with, and once I do that, what I do is then I just go here and I Control C or Command C, and then I just paste it here. And then start from there because I don't have to adjust anymore. So
wonder how some.
So yeah, it's basically what I do. Anyway, so give it a shot. If you have any questions, let me know in the meantime. But other than that, the rest of it, the call, I want to a little bit talk about just the sound itself, because there are a couple of questions that, hey, I want to learn about sound in general. And we have a 22 minutes, so we won't have a time to go through all of it, but I will make some videos like I did last time. But today I want to go over some of them with you. And this might be just good background knowledge. And again, I am not a sound expert or anything. I'm just like you, just learning and then trying things out here and there. But let's talk about sound a little bit. Oops. And this is one of the course that I already put on the link. But again, many of us don't have time. So what I'm trying to do with every team members, like, you know, we have video team here, we have a community team, social media team basically there, we have content team there. I'm trying to just digest this and just explain this in our own way, so it's a lot shorter. But so what is sound? Well, sound is basically wave. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Sound is basically a wave. And the term amplitude, and I'm sure in your own language there's some other stuff, but basically this is how loud your sound is. I don't know any of you who took this kind of stuff in middle school, high school, brings your memory. And frequency is how fast. So if it's a 1 second, if anybody happen to remember sine graphs, this is basically sine graphs in a way, but if from here to here is a 1 second, how fast that sound is. So it's a high pitch or a low pitch is basically what it would be. I believe, and I can be completely wrong, but woman's voice has a little bit of a faster, higher frequency, faster than the man, which is lower. Again, this is a loudness, but so this is more of a vertical, but horizontal length is the frequency. And this is measured by seconds or hertz. And so when it comes to the audio, there are a couple terms like codec or file format. This is where waveform, WAV, or MP3 or ACC is, I think, a new thing nowadays, but pretty similar. But waveform is basically the file format we want to record in generally. Most phones will not have waveform because, you know, I mean, they are not like a professional recording voice. I mean, device most cases. Sample rate, this is something I don't really understand, but the bottom line is the more sample rate your recorder has, the better it is. It's like sample is like, again, it's like a math, but in this graph, again, these are all sound wave, and this, when it hits our eardrums, depending on what kind of wave it is it high pitched, like super frequency, or is it high amplitude? Our brain recognizes that way, right? It's all wave, right? Everything is wave, like. But in our machine, you will see in the future picture, there are a lot of some machines can have a super many dots. That each like in 1 second, how many like samples can audio device make? Like, so the more dot your audio recorder device can have, the more accurate your recording is. Because when you're recording sound, I mean, yes, you can actually tell many cases if it's a real voice or it's a recorded voice. And in most cases, we don't care about it, so we don't think about it. But the more expensive your or better device is, you have more sample rate. So your phone is probably have about 12,000 or 12K, but in most our recording, like Zoom H1 or you know those external recorder will probably have 24 bit or 20 bit depths or so 24 bit depths or like a 41 or 44K sample rate. Again, it's not so important, but the key is generally just know some numbers that is good for us. So we usually want to film 24-bit depths. All your camera, especially Canon M50, and I think all my Sony camera too, they don't have a good preamp, which I'll explain a little later. So they all probably do 12. And then it might work fine with what we do. But eventually we want to think that, we actually want to do 12 4 bits. And bits are basically, you know, those computer numbers, binary numbers that 8-bit gives you, the computer is a binary, so it's a 0 or 1. And I'm not going to go through all because I'm not good at math either. But the more bits you have, the more amount of switches you can turn it up, and you just multiply those. So there are more possibilities you can do. So let's just go over there. So So whoops, I messed up. Sorry, where is the sound file? So the waveform is what we call, in a way, the lossless. We don't really lose any information. That's why waveform audio is huge. It's like 100 megabytes for like 1 minute. But MP3, or I don't even know what it is, but this is, I think this is what some phones use now. They are a lot smaller files, so easy to move around, but their file, they are lossy, meaning it's a smaller but lower quality, meaning there's not much you can fix. You don't have much information. All these dots we talked about, they're probably also really a lot less. That's why WAV file is bigger. So the idea is, when you're recording the audio, you want to record in WAV file as much as you want. In short, like if you're making short videos, no, like YouTube Shorts or Facebook Shorts, nobody cares, right? That's not. But for more professional video, eventually you want to record in waveform and edit it. And for your final product, yes, you can export in MP3 because you're finished. You finished editing. You don't need to edit anymore. But that's the idea. So most common sample rate for film and video is 48. This is something you will see also when you export your audio on Premiere Pro. They give you some options, and I think by default is 41. But either 41K or 48Ks are generally good. And this is something also that Zoom H1 external recorder provides, but your camera simply won't. So the idea is that, yes, right now, many of you who are using lav mic, especially Rode Wireless Go, because it's so simple and easy, you just directly connect it to your camera, and it works. I mean even Japan's team's video are awesome, sounds good too, because we're all listening on the smartphone and stuff. But eventually what you want to do is you want to connect that to your either Zoom H1, and then you still record with your camera as a scratch video. Scratch video means it's a basically something, because if you record in Zoom H1 without the scratch audio, which also records with the video at the same time, you don't know how to. You have to manually sync it. You have to, because Zoom H1 doesn't have any video feed. It just has audio feed. So that's why you always have a scratch audio, meaning scratch audio is not something you will use for final production at all, but it's a guideline that you can use. So you usually want to always record 2 audios, but for now, it's really okay, I guess. But eventually, that's where you want to be, okay? And then some of you are definitely doing that too. And especially nowadays, technology is easy. You don't even need to clap, like to match the audio, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's move on from there. So yeah, 8 bits gives you 256, because it starts at 0, options, where 16 bits a lot more, 24 bits extremely more. It's just more dots basically. That's a really small screen, but so generally speaking, this is the ideal recording. So on your Zoom H1, many of you have Zoom H1, you would connect your transmitter to Zoom H1, but in the Zoom H1, the setting you want to do is waveform, 48K sample rate, and 24-bit. That's where ideally what you want to do. This is something also I don't know much, but I know one reason why I had many of you buy Wireless Go 2, because Rode Wireless Go 2, the transmitter also can, receiver can also, you can also set this up in the receiver setting, which is awesome. And I think the receiver itself records audio. Actually, the receiver itself records audio, and if you download Rode Central app, then practically you can just download that file from your receiver and use that file. So when you connect the receiver of Rode Wireless Go 2 to your camera, you will have a scratch audio still a good quality scratch audio that's what most of you are using right now just to edit. But your camera preamp sucks. Anything under $5,000 camera, your preamp sucks. Mine sucks too. Some are better, but generally it sucks. So that's why Zoom H1 is there. But again, I need to look at more. So what is it? So I hope I'm not confusing you too much. But if you are connecting your receiver, you know how you have two transmitters, and the one receiver with your Rode Wireless Go set, and your receiver connects to your camera, and you're recording audio that way. But the receiver itself will store record audio on separate. I don't know, like up to 8 hours or 4 hours. I can't remember exactly. But you can set this up on your receiver too, and then just use that file in the future. So if that's the case, then we don't even need to worry about Zoom H1, but I'll look into that later. But I'm just giving you. So this is basically what people call audio chain. You have microphones, so sometimes shotgun mic on the top like this, or top of your camera, or a lav mic, and we have a mic level and signal, and then we have a preamp, because mic sound itself is quiet. You can never just use straight mic level. Your phone has preamp too, and it's gonna be it's like the worst preamp you can imagine, but it does. And many people sometimes don't care. But again, like if you're making short videos for YouTube and Instagram Reels, nobody cares that as much, as long as unless it's horrible. And then their phones are getting better. Who knows, in the future maybe there are phones with a good preamp. But preamp is where basically this knob is gain. Gain is basically the English word for add more, right? So this gain is basically, okay, a mic signal is coming in, electronic signal. I need to use my preamp to make it louder. I need to make it louder so it's audible, it's good to hear. So you're increasing the gain here. There are like a low gain level in case you're like whispering, or mid, high. We can talk about it a little later. But this is what gain is about. And if you're, whenever you're playing with audio in your Premiere Pro, and there's a gain function, right? It's acting like, and I can be completely wrong. Then somebody who knows a better experience, please correct me. But what I understand is, in that case, Premiere, when you're editing your audio, you act like you're actually amplifying the sound, like what Michiru showed us. So you add your gain, and dB is basically just decibel, like how loud your decibel is. So it's just, I don't know the definition, but it's basically loudness of the sound in a way. So you increase your gain, and this is where you can introduce noise. When your preamplifier are gaining your mic signal, this is where noise are introduced. And depending on your quality, mic quality, and depending on your preamp, this is where the sound can have a really bad noise or not. And then it'll make it into the, what do you call, more of an electronic, it'll send it to some sort of a CPU processing where it will change from analog to actual digital that can be saved in a memory card. In a real professional film production, they have a boom guy who always hold this. They have a preamp guy sitting in the booth who all he does is just gaining. And there's another guy who actually convert this and then save somewhere else. But us, like one person film, we don't have time for that, and most people don't. Everybody on YouTube, nobody does that. So what they do is basically, we get a mic like this, or a lav mic, and all of these three are handled by one device, either Tascam or Zoom H1. Again, the model doesn't matter. But this is basically what it does for you. The external recorder, Zoom H1, does all of this for you. We, like, personally, I believe all we do, you don't need more than Zoom H1 really. That's just the perfect one. And we talked about how Rode Wireless Go might have that function too in the receiver, but I have to look into that. If you're directly connecting your lav mic to the camera, which you've done before, some of you, then the camera is doing all these three for you, but they're not that great because it's just not camera's job. So I want to also talk a little bit about what is a clipping. We all know what clipping is. It's just when your input is way too high in the very beginning for mic level. I keep doing that. Sorry, guys. Then you lose all this information, and you can't, even if you. Why do I keep doing that? Okay, even if you decrease it, so this is where you adjust the gain, after you record it, it's already clipped, and this is what it sounds like. So I tried to record it a little bit. Okay, we have 7 minutes, so I need to hurry. Where did I do it? So let's listen to that, and it might be a little bit annoying to your ears, so be careful with that.
Here's a short sample. Before I play this, make sure you have your volume control handy and put your levels to something you can hear, but that is not too loud. First, we'll play it through once at the regular level, then we'll try to reduce the gain to see if that fixes it. This is an example of digital clipping. Now let's try reducing the gain by 6 dB. But notice what happens. They're still chopped off at the top. Let's play through and see what it sounds like. This is an example of digital clipping. For something that's clipped this severely, there's not really anything you can do in post to fix it. So it's really important during production, when you're recording, to avoid this type of situation.
So it's really important that when we're recording, it stays around -6 and -12 decibel, really. If you're outside and somebody's shouting or yelling, yeah, there's maybe not much you can do about it. But you know, really, like when you're recording, if you're not looking at your voice level, the input level, then we're not doing the right thing. If you're doing it all by yourself, then maybe relying on some sort of an app. And again, if you're using the Zoom H1, you're literally holding the Zoom H1 recording, and you can see where it's heading, and you don't need to look at it all the time. Once you look at it in the beginning and you're gonna keep your voice around that, then you're fine, right? So something to remember. Actually, the ERA6 has called the declipper, and it's not actually getting information that is already lost, but it's doing it's kind of a smart thing to trying to fix. So if something was really severely bad, then I've done that, and it kind of worked a little bit. It's better, but again, it's not perfect, but it was a little bit better, meaning my ear didn't hurt as bad as. So all of us here, actually, most of us have gone through this clipping issue before and mistakes. So just remember that we want to avoid clipping. So yeah, I was just Googling like what the heck is audio sampling. Those little dots all over the graph. So it's a process of transforming a musical source into a digital file. And the more sampling rate you have, the better, the more like it'll sound more like real. Because, okay, that's my math study. That is so random. Why do we have this? Okay. Yeah, I didn't study math at all when I was in high school, so I'm like, maybe I can study now. None of you want to know that, but thank you. Okay, so there are a couple of different mics, condenser microphones. And this is basically our shotgun mic that you'd have. And there are some I don't know, people still use this mic, but in karaoke maybe, but or more like a news thing. And there's a shotgun mic, whatever it is called, cartridge. I don't have an experience with this. I just use shotgun. This is a very directional, meaning if you're in front of it, you will hear it. If you're on the side, you won't hear it. If you're in the back, you won't hear much. Lavalier or lav mic is what we use the most because it's really good for just any situation. Shotgun mic always sounds better than lav mic if it's properly placed, not too far from your subject and stuff. But lav mic is just so much more convenient. So right now we're just using lav mic, and that's what we're using. And it's multiple people, lav mic is better, but shotgun mic is always sound better. And eventually, if you're making more like a featured film in a way, shotgun mic is a must because lav mic doesn't have any spatial sounds. So if we're just recording with lav mic, we'll never know if somebody's behind me or somebody's far away or somebody's yelling from far away. Nobody will know because it'll all sound the same. So there are some differences there. So shotgun mic, the most ideal way is to put something like this in a little tiny boom. They're like boom mics and like $20, and you can smart about it. But generally speaking, in professional setup, more professional setup, you want to put boom mic 45 degrees down, about 1 meter. You guys all use meters, right? 1 meter, about 1 meter, or 45 centimeters to 90 centimeters. But I guess that's okay, so about time. So I'm gonna go a little bit longer. So if you guys need to leave, just leave. That's totally fine. That's completely fine. I appreciate you coming in, really. That's what you do with, and these are all, again, just a background knowledge for us, right? And there are mic patterns. So this is what the like a normal shotgun, small shotgun mic cardioid pattern, that meaning if the mic is going this way, then it'll capture the sound a little bit more on the side, but mostly on the front. It's directional. And then there are some weird ones that records on the behind. I think a lot of vloggers use this because they want to hear the people behind the camera's voice. I'm sure there are other reasons too. And a lot of shotgun mics are very, very directional. So shotgun mics are actually good for echo in a way, because it will only try to hear from you, the subject, and not from the side. But again, it doesn't prevent the echo. And lav mic, you're seeing, oh gosh, this is my, whenever I try to go back, it does that. Okay, lav mic is where the circle is all the way around, meaning omnidirectional. So I think, and I did it again, I apologize, I'll never go back again. Okay, I think one more example I want to show you. Well, there are a couple more examples, and looks like I have to get out of it anyway. So let's go to movies again. And here's a quick example.
Test 1, 2, 3. This is on axis. Test 1, 2, 3. This is off axis to the side. Test 1, 2, 3. This is off axis, 180 degrees. So this is where the mic picks things up. With a cardi, what I want to demonstrate here is an omnidirectional pickup pattern, which this mic has. So it should pick me up at the same level, regardless of which side of it I stand on. So let's come back here. Right here, it should be, again, picking up just the same. And over here, just the same.
By the way, he lives in Utah, and I'm positive he's Mormon or a member of the church. So, but anyway.
Now, one thing that's really cool about lavalier microphones is that if you don't have a shotgun with a Zeppelin cover, you can hide it underneath your shirt, and it does pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit breezy out here tonight, and I'm going to bet that you're not going to be able to hear any wind noise. I have the microphone hidden under me, or under my shirt right here. This is a Rode lavalier. It is inserted into a Rode Invisalign, which is just a little kind of rubberized piece that
you can do that, or you can just get your own, like just be creative about it. The nice thing about something like that is that the biggest problem with lav mic is the rustling sound of the clothes. Oops.
Now, one thing that's really cool, rubberized piece that you can then gaff tape underneath your shirt, and that should help avoid any movement noise from your clothes as it rubs past the microphone. So there is an example of how lavalier can actually be a really great tool. Now, while the lavaliers that we mostly use are omnidirectional, in practical terms, they're not.
You can see that also. It's interesting. He's just filming the garage, right? But there is a main source of a light coming here, but he has those, like one of those cheap, 5-in-1 like reflector connected to I think it's a C-stand, and then there's a back, and then he's filming far away, pretty much. That's why. And then he has a little boom mic setup up here, and then a little bit of a backlight. But anyway, just see how it looks in about a few seconds. Oh my goodness, why do I do that?
Now, one thing that's really cool, for example, lavaliers that we mostly use are omnidirectional. In practical terms, they're not exactly omnidirectional, and that's a good thing. Let me explain what I mean. Typically, you have the talent.
So yeah, even though it's like a crappy garage, whatever, you can basically pull this look. Obviously, he is cropping in, so people cannot see around. But anyway,
wearing the lavalier somewhere here in their chest area, because it's mounted to the person that sits behind the microphone, if you want to think of it in those terms, actually acts as a sound block behind the mic. So really, it's only picking up kind of in this pattern here, as opposed to 360 degrees. So you get a little bit of an advantage there as well. So that's, and again, coupled with the fact that you don't have to worry about aiming it, really, really nice combination. However, there are some downsides to lavalier mics. It's not all rosy.
Yeah, I think we talked about that then, like it's not directional, rustling clothes happening all the time. All right, let's wrap it up. I'm gonna go over a couple more videos then here.
The Zoom H1 is probably the least expensive, decent quality audio recorder I would recommend. And the Countryman B6 is actually a fairly premium, high-quality lavalier microphone that's often used in major motion pictures with large budgets. For instance, it was used recently in the Hobbit movies on both Bilbo and Gandalf, amongst other characters. Now this time I'm recording with the same microphone, the Countryman B6, into a Nikon D750 DSLR camera.
So in case you're not following, so here's a lav mic, just something nicer, but it's not that different from what they called Rode lavalier mic that you guys have. Especially if you use ERA6 like in the posting, it all sounds pretty much similar to untrained eyes. Don't worry about 16, like I don't know, it's like a loudness unit per, like I have no idea, second, something about second, but basically what he's reading right now is the sound that you're listening for the Zoom H1 connected. Now after that, he's now connecting it to his, just a cheap, well, it's not cheap, it's more expensive, but again, just a camera that doesn't have a good preamp, and Canon M50 is way better than this because it's a newer camera, but see how much noise it's introducing because the poor preamp.
I'm recording with the same microphone, the Countryman B6, into a Nikon D750 DSLR camera. So this is a camera that runs about $2,000, I think at this point. It ran $2,300, I think, when I bought it. So it's a decent quality camera, but it is, you can see the preamplifier is of different quality than even just a $100 audio recorder. So again, same setup here in terms.
So in case if you're hearing a lot of noise on your camera, which we can edit, yeah, but the best ways is always use a better preamp to begin with. So that might be one reason. So again, you want to try this out and still use that camera as a scratch audio, because when you're recording through your camera, your video comes in as well, and then it's so easy to just sync on the Premiere Pro, as you should all know now. So I think with that said, okay, what do I got here? So, oh my goodness, guys, I'm sorry. I should have just made it as a slide instead of a sound. It's about here. Yes. So whenever I go back, it does that. I need to remember. So, yeah, so Zoom H1 is the Zoom H1 is just a very beginner level. So the input or the gain, so you're connected, whether it's the lav mic directly or your what do you call your wireless Go connected, your input level is basically the gain level. So the audio signal is coming in and you're using this to adjust the gain at the same spot. And then so we talked about what, if I do that one more time, let's just finish for the day. Okay, I'll just record separately. We have a gain coming in. Fader is something that is, if it's a little bit more expensive, then when you increase with the gain and you use fader to make it a little bit quieter to basically fiddle around, but that's a little bit more for expensive equipment, so you don't need to worry about it. And then that's basically a Tascam, also not that expensive, but Tascams are basically, if you have an XLR microphone, that is different than just a little jack, if that makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. But this is basically what our company uses right now, or our teams use right now. And it's just showing that how you want to make sure that well, he's staying around -12. I've heard different cases that you just, as long as you stay around -12, -6, you're fine. And then I think that's what it is. And again, this is how you set up a boom mic, generally speaking. And the very last thing we want to talk about, that's the last one, is the reverb. Many of us suffer from reverb, and here is a video that I think that can talk about it.
Reverb is sound reflecting off of surfaces and bouncing around the room. Each time the sound wave reflects off a wall or floor or ceiling, it loses some energy, but often it takes a while before those sound waves settle back down. The best way to manage those reflections is to prevent the sound waves from reflecting. You don't need to go overboard and put thousands of dollars of acoustical absorbing material on every wall or ceiling. A much more practical solution that works both in a studio and on location is to hang sound absorbing blankets. Without getting into a massive discussion about acoustical treatment and bass traps versus high frequency traps versus acoustical diffusion, we're going to keep it simple and practical. If you're having issues with reverb, hang a sound blanket between your actor and any large flat surfaces that are not in the frame. That includes walls, floors, and possibly even ceilings. Yes, throwing a blanket on a hard floor can help, especially if you're booming your mic from above. Also, in that case, you don't need any stands. And if you don't have any stands, get creative. Now, here's an example of the types of scenarios you might encounter. This is a room. It's actually a kitchen, dining, kind of great room kind of setup in a home with hardwood floors and lots of hard surfaces. I'm sitting my back right against the kitchen counter here. So again, lots of hard surfaces. And this is where the sound waves will hit those hard surfaces and reflect back, and you'll get the echo or reverb. So this is what it sounds like. And let's take a listen to what it sounds like once we put some blankets up to manage some of that reflection. And here's what it sounds like once we put some blankets down. We've got one hung behind the camera on a couple of C-stands. Again, if you don't have C-stands, don't worry about it. You can use other things, get creative. You can use a couple of ladders with a broom pole. You could use a couple of ladders with a piece of metal electrical conduit, which you can get at a hardware store. I use this little spring clamps you can get at a hardware store for about 99 cents. And then I've got one on the floor just down below me here. That's actually a pretty critical one if you're trying to tame some hard floors. The reason that's critical is I've got the mic right here. So if you can prevent the reflections here, that's really good. And then I've got another one in the kitchen behind me. So that's an example of how you can manage some of the reverb that you may get in a variety of different.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for today. Let me, what do you call? So how do I get out of this? So yeah, if you're using a lav mic, many cases this problem is fixed. Not fixed, but you know, lav mic has its own issues. So this is more of a, love to hear your input, Lucas, super quick. But this is basically what you can do. And then I'm sharing this with you and recording this with you. So in the future, if you're running into a situation like this, you know at least where to start. Lucas, what is your comment? Go ahead.
First, I believe, did you guys in America had the time change? Because we are supposed to start the meeting at 10 p.m. in our local time. And when we got in, we saw that you were just finishing. Sorry for that.
No, Lucas, first of all, that's why we're recording it. And thanks for letting me know. Yeah, we changed our time about a month ago or month ago. So what should you look at is just look at your Google Calendar, and they should change automatically. If they don't, let me know. Then there's an issue. It should be smart enough.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe it did, because me and Andrea, we didn't.
Yeah, no worries.
No
worries.
Sorry, but I want to talk about the audio. Like last week, I find out about a new audio recorder that you can monitor through Wi-Fi, and it's something that I'm looking for a few years because I always want to like monitor the audio, even far away from the DJ table where I usually record the wedding audio. You know, the name is the Track E from Tentacle Sync.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and there are other brands like Hollywood that does exactly the same thing. So, Lucas, that's a good question, because in your case, you're more of a professional that will need more of that. But and then you and I can talk separately. But tools are just tools. And if you happen to see the pre-recording after this call, we talked about sound a little bit today. That, yeah, basically Zoom H1 will do wonders because you can have it right in front of you, right next to you for most of your normal filming. And in Lucas' case, he's talking about, you know, if we have like 3 different mics in all over the place, where can I see all of them at once? So yeah, in that case, those tools can be helpful. But for most of what you do, Zoom H1 works great. If you're eventually leveling up your game, the Tascam that I showed you, or I use Zoom H6. Zoom H6 works great, but for most of what we do, Zoom H1 works great. And then, as I mentioned earlier to you guys, the Rode Wireless Go 2, I believe that the receiver actually records on its own, and then it's pretty neat. So, but the bottom line is, go ahead.
It does, and I use the Rode Go 2 and the Tempo like 2 weeks ago, and worked perfectly. It was really nice.
It really sounded good. It really sounded good. So guys, remember, we went over the basic sound stuff today, and then I'll start recording more of that for you, just like we did last time. But thanks all for coming in, and then hopefully this was a little bit helpful. Is there any other questions or comment? If not, We'll see you all later next week. Or not next week, next month.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks a
Bye,
lot.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.